Morning. Glad to have you here today on July 26th. Just to say we will not have a press conference next week. I'll be out of town in North Carolina for the week. We will not have a press conference on the 2nd, but we will come back on the 9th, so look forward to seeing you at that point. I'm excited today. We get to do some good news here. I'm excited to announce that we have selected our new city administrator that will take over from Keith, who is departing us on December 17th, but he will leave his position as administrator at the end of the fiscal year on September 30th, and effective October 1st, Kareth Fiddler will be our new city administrator. So Kareth will be responsible for managing daily operations for the city and working with staff to ensure our efficient delivery of city services and implementation of adoption. Again, Kareth currently serves as the Deputy City Administrator for the City of Pensacola, responsible for oversight for the city's community development departments. And he started with the City of Pensacola in July 2019 after we got him from Kissimmee. Kareth, if you want to come forward and say a couple of words, we certainly look forward to having you as our new city administrator on October 1.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Kareth Fiddler. I am excited, grateful, and I'm humbled for this experience. It's funny, I've worked for, this is my 6th municipality, and I've been in public sector for almost 20 years, and it's been a blessing. You learn so much from each one, and this is probably one of the best municipalities I've worked for, and not just saying that because both of my bosses are in this room, but we've endured so much in the 2 years that I've been here, from the cyber attack to hurricane and you name it, COVID. I told the mayor this a few weeks ago that we've endured, and it hasn't been easy, but it's been really great. We have a great team. I also want to thank my family, my wife, my kids, my family in Miami. I mean, everybody's been so supportive of this opportunity and me getting this great open up this new chapter in my life. So I just wanted to say thank you, and if you need anything, most people know where to find me. I'm easy to find. Thank you.
Well, as you know, we when I first came in, we brought Chris Holly in, and Chris was he very clearly told me he wanted to be here 1 year, and that was it. I tried to see if I could keep him barely a week after 1 year, and he was ready to go. But we were very fortunate to have Keith here, which has been good. But Keith had told me early on, first coming here, that he wasn't going to be here forever. So we worked hard in the process. We've been working to identify and attract talent, and we felt like Kareth is somebody we were very happy to attract here a couple of years ago, and certainly the management he's had of the departments that he's had and what he's done through some of the adversity that he talked about. We think he is going to be a great choice and going to take the city into the future. And we're just hoping that on October 1st we don't have a cyber attack or something go on. That's unlike Keith's first day here at the city as administrator. All right, the city is also going to be launching a resiliency story map. The City of Pensacola has launched an interactive online resiliency story map and sea level rise vulnerability assessment, which will help the city collect data to identify and plan for potential sea level rise throughout the City of Pensacola, recognizing the threats of higher tides, what they mean to coastal cities like the city. We've applied for and received funding from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection to conduct a vulnerability assessment and develop a resiliency plan. The story map is one of the products of this grant, identifying potential vulnerable infrastructure locations in the city expected to be impacted by sea level rise. Through the collection of data, the map also identifies priority planning areas for the city as it relates to sea level rise. To view the interactive map, visit cityofpensacola.com or the City of Pensacola's Facebook page. Also, this week, this is a reminder that we will have a special meeting of the City Council meeting on Wednesday, July 28th, regarding the submittals for the redevelopment of lots 4 and 5 at City Community Maritime Park. This meeting will take place at 5:30 at City Hall downstairs in the chambers at 222 West Main Street. So you're certainly, public is welcome to be there. We'll be having this discussion, including the 3 applicants will be making presentations. This Saturday is the neighborhood cleanup. This Saturday, July 31st, will be the cleanup in Eastgate, Parker Circle, and Palisades area. Please see the map for details. The event allows the City of Sanitation customers in the cleanup area to leave eligible items on the curb for pickup. City of Pensacola Sanitation Services will pick up the items free of charge. For more information about the Mayor's Neighborhood Cleanup, visit cityofpensacola.com. So again, we hope you'll take advantage of that, and certainly appreciate John and his team out there, being out there Saturday and doing that. COVID-19, we obviously have been following the Florida Department of Health for the week of this July 16th through July 22nd. Escambia County has had a positivity rate of 19.9%, which is a fairly significant increase. Obviously, today I'll be talking with the hospitals today at 2. We'll be talking a little bit more about reporting and sort of where we go and what's happening. I do think it is interesting to see a couple things that we've seen in this and just preliminary discussions. We have seen significant impact in cases and in positivity and other things that we saw before. Hasn't quite translated is so much into hospitalizations and certainly fatalities at this point, and we're hoping that's going to be the case. And I think some of that is the vaccine, and this is why we continue to push the vaccines wherever we can. We'll certainly be having vaccines come here to City Hall for our own employees. We are encouraging everybody to do that. I was with a couple of employers this weekend, large employers with Keith Hoskins and some other people. We were just discussing this. How do we deal with this and making sure, trying to take care of the health of your employees. And again, we certainly encourage, as they were saying the same thing. My understanding is Baptist had tracked their hospitalizations from the month of July going back, and they were going to go all the way back to March. But at least for the month of July, they found that 90% of those hospitalized were unvaccinated. So again, there's a significant amount showing that the vaccines are helping prevent people from have been able to get the vaccine from hospitalization and again worse fatality. So from that standpoint, we need to be vigilant and continue to keep working what we can and understand that COVID's going to be here. As I've said many times from this podium, it's not going away. Our whole goal is that we hope that COVID becomes the cold rather than sort of pneumonia or something that's going to kill you. We hope it becomes the cold, and I think we can do that. Vaccines are an important part of that, and I hope you will take advantage to take that opportunity to get the vaccine. There are a couple things I know that have been near and dear to the press group in here. We've gotten several questions. I know over this past week, I think it was just after we left here, Greg Harding came up to see me. And Greg had been working with UWF Trust and had found a map from the 1880s that actually showed there was an unmarked cemetery in a portion of 16th Avenue and Miraflores. Obviously, as we told you last week, we've turned that over to the UWF Trust. But I did want to recognize Greg and the work that he's been doing and looking through city archives and finding that. It's amazing sometimes what we have, and we just got to go back and figure out where things are. So it was Greg that went back through and checked all the maps. It was not on any map after sometime in the 1880s, but if we went back to the 1880s, he did go back there and find something. So at this point, it's been turned over to the UWF Trust. It'll go by Florida statute, and they will work with it. But I did want to acknowledge the work the city has been doing on that, and Greg Harding in particular has been working to do that. Also wanted to recognize we are in the process of getting charter review over the weekend. I think I secured one of my assignments for the Charter Review Commission. I think this will be I've said for a number of times that our governor, our president, other executives serve for a maximum of 2 terms, 2 4-year terms, which is 8 years. I think the executive should do that. I think for the legislative, I think 12 is good. I think legislatively, you don't control anything. You have to work together with people. So I think 12 years and having more terms is more appropriate. But I do think from the executive level, I think everywhere else we see 2 terms as a maximum. Again, I think the challenge is somewhat of this position where it is. I think it's good to have a number of people rotating through. So I will be asking the individuals who I picked for the charter review to at least support that initiative. The rest of them, I asked them to do good things for the city, and so whatever happens with that happens to come on the ballot. So I'm excited to see how that process works through. Finally, one of the things that was so good for us to have, and it sometimes we lose sight of, we had the first employee recognition event in this room last week, the first one we'd had in 18 months. It was good to see everybody to recognize the things that we were doing and talk about. And some of the things that Kareth talked about, we talked about how amazing it had been, the things we had done over the last 18 months, and that we all had to reinvent how we do everything. But we managed to still take care of the citizens, and we're going to continue to do that. But it was good to see a lot of different departments, a lot of different people, and recognize some of the fine things that are happening, because we hadn't gotten to do that as much. But it was exciting to have that opportunity again, and to see our employees and sharing that information. So these are all the things that we've been working on this past week. I am happy to take any of your questions and see where we go for the following week. But happy to take your questions. Yes.
You mentioned those numbers from Baptist Hospital. They said they're going to start releasing them twice a week now. But I understand that's just Baptist, not all the area hospitals. Is there any plan for the city to release area-wide numbers, or even bring back that COVID-19 dashboard?
Well, the dashboard we had was not something we got. It comes from the hospitals, so we'll be discussing that today with the hospitals. I'm sure reporting and other things will come back. I mean, that we'll be discussing. I would love to see something come back like what was reported to us on hospitalizations. We felt like that was the key, and we will continue to focus on that level. But it's, I mean, again, the things that come from the Department of Health, the positivity rates and the other things, we'll be looking from the Department of Health. We were able to put together the hospitalizations from the 3 hospitals, and I'll be talking with them today, and we'll see what we can do. But I think this is they told me when we stopped, I said, hey, if something comes back, I'd like to circle back up, and they were the first ones that came back and said, yeah, we need to get together again. So it'll be good. But Dawn Rudolph, Gay Norden, Mark Faulkner, they do a great job, and they have always communicated with me very openly about what's going on and what we need to be doing and working together, and it's a team approach, and we'll get together at 2 o'clock today, and I'm sure we'll have those discussions. Yes, John?
Mayor, on the lots 4 and 5 scoring matrix that the staff prepared, which one of those proposals are you going to recommend on Wednesday?
I think our whole goal is to look at the one that fits the best of what comes out of that plan. I mean, again, I think so much of what we're doing is trying to move away from the politics of things and try to move to what plans dictate. But these are things that, if you've seen what we've tried to institute, we've tried to bring up professional. The things we're doing with our employees, engagement survey, the stuff that we've been doing there, the same thing we're doing with our neighborhoods, everywhere else, developing plans and then sticking to those plans. So I think whatever one of those that best fits the plan and the evaluation, and I thought Victoria and Helen and her team with Victoria did a great job of that assessment. I thought it was very well done. It was what we asked them to do. I think it sort of laid out how each one of these proposals do. I think it also allowed us to get refocused on the things that work in the plan and not on the things that don't work in the plan, because there are some things that obviously were in all 3 submittals that don't work in the plan, and we've been very clear that we're not changing the zoning district over there, waterfront redevelopment district. We're not changing that. We're going to keep the things we went through there, but that doesn't mean that we can't implement those things, what works with that, into the plan, and what best sort of matches what we want to do in that plan. So I think, I see that coming forward. I think we're gonna make a recommendation that night, but it's going to be very much based off of who's what we find in that plan. And I think when you look at it, I think it kind of becomes self-evident, sort of, when you look at who's following the plan the best, and that's what we're going to let dictate to us. I mean, again, this is not a political decision or anything else. It's what that citizens want, and how do we do that? And I think, John, a lot of that is what we've been trying to do, is focus how do we make decisions not based on politics, but based on what we want to make for our community. And I think everywhere we've done that, from our employees and from dealing with what we do with employee engagement to dealing what we do with plans. I mean, that's the whole idea of how we build a better city and work together and try to take some of the political steam out of this.
Follow?
Yes.
When you look at that matrix, and it's pretty well done, it's clear that the Emmett Smith, Harold Dawson hits all the marks. But yet you've said their 21-story towers are not what the people of Pensacola are looking for.
Well,
does that mean that it's negotiable, or?
Well, they very clearly told us in their proposal, the one that they signed and we stamped, that they were amenable to, changing it, whatever. They threw that out there. I told y'all the last time, I thought some of the things that are thrown out there are things that say, when we say we want the best possible return, I think everybody sort of says, well, if return's all you're based on, then we'll go one direction. And I've been very clear, well, we won't return, but we won't return within what we've set the parameters and the measures. We're not going to bend on the parameters and the measures. That's going to happen. So we are looking for the best return within that, which is not going to be the best possible return. So I don't think, again, money's not everything. So I think it's got to fit the right thing.
Is Andrew Rothfelder still working for you?
He is. He's not working for me. He's working for the City of Pensacola. So again, Andrew will be there. He will be doing that part of it. At the same time, we felt like the assessment that needed to be done of the three needed to be done internal to the staff. That's why we asked them to do that. Andrew has a part that he's submitted to the council members. He will be there to lead the discussion on Wednesday as we work through that. But at the same time, we felt like, and you probably saw there were some council members that wanted to have it just done inside, so we did that. I mean. Realistic enough to not realize at some point there may be some things. That's the whole idea when we do a pilot, Rick, is if we do identify things we can change. I think the good news is a lot of these places, I've also heard other people say they've seen them in other cities, is they've implemented better ideas how to take care of them so they're not just strewn all over the place. And I think the companies themselves have gotten better about that. I have not heard any complaints at this point, but again, I don't get every one of them. Casey probably knows more than I would. She'll get the complaints, and she said it was kind of funny. She said if you read Facebook before we put it on there, we were like the worst people ever for putting this on there. But if you look at Instagram, we had lots of nice emojis on there complimenting us. So it's gonna be one of those things. We know there are people that will like it. There are people that won't like it. The issue that we've really focused on is how does it work to deal to make Pensacola better at what we're doing. We have challenges with parking. We have challenges with figuring out how to move people around. We think the scooters play an opportunity in the mobility. One of the things I've heard over and over again is people talk about, and I've had a lot of locals say, well, I don't know that I'd get on a scooter here in Pensacola, but I've done them in other places and they're good. I think when we've struggled about how do we move people from the ferry landing to get them through downtown, the scooters now become a very viable option to do that, effective. I know if it was myself and my family, we would do that. We've done segways before. We've done those. They're fun. Plus, you get a chance to really see the community. But there's always some challenges. People, we're hoping to minimize impacts with obviously scooters and cars and other things. But I think all that as it works. I think we've done a lot to tamp down speeds and try to make downtown more walkable, more bikeable, which also makes it also more accessible for scooters. I think as you get outside the downtown area, it'll be interesting to see what happens. You can go all the way up into large parts of East Hill and North Hill. In fact, I heard one the other day, somebody saw one on Pace Boulevard, which is the very far edge of the limits. So, I'm interested to see what happens as they go outside of here. And I think there are plenty of people in those neighborhoods who are looking forward to having the opportunity to get around in that way. But there's no doubt I think they'll be very effective in downtown, and I think they'll be effective outside of downtown. It's going to be interesting to see what comes back from the usage and what we see.
Yes. What's any progress on Hollis T. Williams Park?
Yes.
I'm glad you reminded me. There are two things I meant to come up here, and I definitely on the 9th, I'm going to have, working with Brian, I thought I saw Brian Cooper back there earlier, working with Brian, there are two things that are happening. We did meet with the county at Hollis T. Williams and some things that we want to do with the skate park. We're coming out of the whole plan for the whole thing. I think it's a great looking plan. I'm very excited about what it looks like and what it's presenting. The question is going to be how do we fund and how do we implement into that? There's no doubt that some of it, the city's got to put some money in and match. We are talking to the county about wanting to do some things with their restore money as a match. And then we certainly think things like NERDA and a variety of other state and federal opportunities to match for grant funding will be there. So we do think we can get it all funded. The meetings we had with them,
Are these recent meetings that you've had?
we did. We met with Wes, Chips, and Matt Posner. And the meetings we had were, the county wants to do this, doesn't want to do it in sections. They want us to do it holistically in the whole park. And the county is probably more interested in jumping in after the skate park. So it means the city is going to be responsible for the skate park. There's about $700,000 or so that we need to put into it to finish up the skate park and get bathrooms to that area, which would be bathrooms for the skate park, but they'd be also bathrooms for the south end of restrooms for the south end of Hollis T. Williams. We are coming to the county. We're coming to the council and asking in April that they appropriate that money from ARPA to finish up the project. Yes.
In August, okay.
In August we will be. As a part of that, there's another big parks project that we have that we got to do. In Roger Scott, it's been over 50 years since those hard courts have been repaired. At some point they've been topped over, but they haven't been milled, replaced, and new stuff put in there for over 50 years. They're tired. They are running out of, and we've been knowing it for a while. The council, before I got here, appropriated $1.3 million. Unfortunately, it's about a $2.6 million project. So we have gone to the county on that one, and we have asked them to assist with us, and we would find a way to make hard court pricing similar to what we did when I came in with the soft courts, the clay courts, and we put the money in, and then we have one price for county, clay court, and city resident. We're talking about doing the same, and I think at least at this point, the county seemed more receptive to buying into that. We've got a couple of commissioners we're still talking with that we're doing this week, but this is sort of our plan and what we're talking to them, and at least in our preliminary discussions, it seems like it's had preliminary, it's had consensus, and I've tried to explain to them, I really need your help to get Roger Scott lifted because if I have to spend all my money on the skate park, then I'm not going to have any money for Roger Scott. And again, at least talking to them with Hollis T. Williams, they like all the things about Hollis T. Williams, but they don't want to do it in sections. They want to go through and do a holistic amendment, which I don't want to hold the skate park people up any longer than we need to. So it's this is what we ended up. We've moved forward, and the staff's going to be bringing this to council in August. Staff's been discussing this and what we need to do. So it's kind of one of those things, we got a bunch of balls in the air. We're trying to figure out how we appropriate where and what we have with our partners. So at least at this particular time with our county partners, it looks like we're going to move forward with the skate park. We're going to move forward with a single amendment on the whole park, which will take some time to get through. And at that point, we'll have the county contribute some of their match money in. We'll have our match money into the skate park, and then we'll go be looking for some NERDA and other grants that we think will finish out Hollis T. Williams.
If you ever get approval from the council for the skate park, when do you think it would be open?
Our goal is to get it going as fast as possible. It's sat there for a long time. They've been coming to us. We've always communicated that we knew we were going to have to go through the Hollis T. Williams process. We asked them to do it in sections so we could get the skate park untied first. This meeting we had with them, when we knew we couldn't do the funding there, this is why we've structured and gone a different route, and we're going to be coming forward to council. So our whole goal is to get it done as fast as possible. I don't have David, and I don't know if we've even discussed construction, how fast it can go, but our goal is to get, Rick, is to get that money appropriated and turn the skate park loose. And I would surely hope that before I leave office, we would have it done. But I mean, every time construction just seems to be so much of a challenge at this point, finding people, finding dates, finding materials.
Will you stay in office until it's complete?
I will stay in office till the end of November of 2022. And I think we should have it complete. My goal is to have it completed by then. So I'm going to focus on the completion. But that's our goal. I think we'll be inside of that, but I can't give you an exact date until we have a little bit more. But I mean, our whole goal is to get it going. That's why we decided to make this move. From the discussions we had with them, it was a good discussion with the county. I mean, they came forward. I thought good things that they wanted to do, and I'm also excited by their commitment to really making the whole Hollis T. Williams project work. Certainly the north end, and getting some of the things. I think if you've seen it, I think it brings great amenities to that corridor. It brings a corridor that is great for pedestrian and walking, bike and pedestrian, but it also brings in historical connections to the neighborhood that was there, and some things that also work on those fronts. So I think in a lot of ways, it's going to be a very positive statement, corridor park, linear park, that really changes that whole area. And for us, it's going to be the entry that we want to bring a lot of people into the city, how we want to do it, especially when you're looking at bike. The grid allows us to collect people across North Hill, across East Hill in an area, and bring them down through the park into downtown. So, I think it's going to be a corridor for us. So, we'll see what happens with that. But we're excited to see what Hollis T. Williams is going to bring when it's finally complete. Okay, John will come back.
Number 5, in the scoring matrix, there's a criteria called experimental retail. Is that a skate term or a developer's term of art? What does that mean?
No. We there was desire. There's been desire to have like a downtown grocery or some other type of retail that came down here maybe on a larger scale. So one of the projects had that in there. It's always been a part of. Retail is important because retail brings foot traffic. I mean, you need some type of retail. It brings foot traffic. It brings activity. So there's a desire to always have that. There was a desire. There's been discussion, and again, depending on how you feel about certain things, maybe there was kind of a supermarket challenge in this area. I think between Everman's and the Publix, we've sort of cured some of that, but I don't know that all of it's, again, as you develop more people and you bring more people down here, there's always more opportunity for retail. I don't think anybody was requiring somebody to have retail, but it is part of it that was there. I think retail is part of a holistic, you can't have a mixed use without it, and I think that's what makes it work. I think that's what makes downtown work, Halifax work, because you have office, we're going to have residential, and you've always had retail. And I think if you can bring those three things together, which it didn't happen all at once on Halifax, but I think it's developed that way, and I think that's what's made Halifax a stronger, street in what it does, and really been the core for our downtown. I think we can replicate the same thing in the community maritime part. I think you just have a chance for us to expand so much of what we're doing. I mean, we've been successful in downtown core. Now the challenge is how do you grow it, and how do you move it out? And there's a tremendous opportunity. There's a tremendous opportunity for residential in downtown, which is good. It brings more people into an area we already know we have services. It brings more people into the city of Pensacola, which has been good. We're excited to see the census numbers, but we think we can grow even further. I think there are a lot of things that are very positive for what that brings to the city. But I think retail is going to be a part of it, and I think that's what we got to do.
You had mentioned the push for vaccines with the COVID numbers we're seeing. Can you update where the city was at with the proposed incentives for employees to get it?
We've had it passed, and we're ready to start implementing that. I think, Keith, when do you think we'll have that
finance is managing it, but we've already rolled that out to all the employees for them to.
So it's already active. What we're doing, that Ted Kirchner's been doing, and I see Lawrence in the back, and I appreciate him as well. Been working with some of our providers, both Community Health and Sacred Heart Ascension, to get them actually to come here physically and provide the vaccines at City Hall and at our Public Works facility building, so people don't have to leave their job. They can get it done here. It makes it easier for them. And I keep reminding them that they can also get $100. I mean, again, I think at the end of the day, yeah, I was, like I said, I was with a couple of large employers over the weekend, and we were discussing this and just how important it is. All of us are finding challenges. It doesn't matter what business you are. If you're a large employer, or if you're just a restaurant. I mean, we see it everywhere we go. People are having problems getting people to work and getting staff. And some of that, I think, is the success of what we've seen in our community. We got more jobs than ever. We need more people. So that's a part of it. And so when you're stretched already that thin, you can't begin to lose employees to COVID. It just makes your service delivery that much more challenging. So from our standpoint, from a productivity standpoint, the services we provide to citizens that are, vital. I mean, you wouldn't have your public works, your fire, your police, your parks and recreation. I mean, these are things that we do every single day, and we take them for granted. Why? Because we have 800 people who show up and go to work. If I don't have those 800 people, I can't do all those services. I can't deliver those things. So it is vitally important that they're here. And the best way for them to get here at this particular time is to make sure they don't have COVID. And granted, it's not a total fail-safe, but it certainly shows that the impacts that they have, they'll be much more likely to come back faster and not have to deal with hospitalization and other challenges. So from that standpoint, plus, we're sort of a family. We love each other. They're our family. We want to see them healthy. We don't want to see them get sick. The last thing we want to see them do is have to go to the hospital. I mean, that was terrible. We had one of our employees on the third floor. They were touch and go in the hospital about a year ago. That was not a fun process to go through for any of us here. So, part of it's just the love you have for your employees, and you don't want to see them go to the hospital or anything else. So, we can't force anybody to do anything else. It's like your children sometimes. You can't force them to go get stuff, but you love them. You want them to be protected. You want them to be safe. And you want them to be able to continue to do the things that they do. So there's a lot of this in there. That's why we've done it. At the end of the day, we're very concerned about the health of our employees. We're very concerned about productivity, that we have to provide the services, and those are going to be critical to helping citizens.
Have the city gauged how many unvaccinated employees would be interested?
We haven't from that standpoint. I mean, we've tried to stay fairly neutral. We don't ask people what to do. We've simply said, to an extent, we've kind of gone back and now said that if you're unvaccinated, you have to wear a mask. But if you've been vaccinated, you don't have to. Even Keith's been vaccinated; he still wears a mask. So we're happy to see that. But part of it is just trying to figure that out. I was with a couple people. We were talking about it the other day. And I said, it's always interesting. My feeling is, we discussed this. This is why we ended up going back and saying, if past people could show they've done it, we would find a way to pay them, because the issue is sometimes it becomes a competitive nature of just who we are. As soon as somebody else gets paid, you go, golly, I could do that. So it's hard to say that $100 actually makes a difference in somebody wanting to go. But sometimes when you see your friend get something else and they got something, you're like, man, I could do that for doing that. It all of a sudden changes how you do it. That's just who we are as human beings. It's always kind of funny. It's sort of that competitive nature part of it. We'll see what happens. I'm not saying it's going to be the best cure-all. We don't know what the percentage will be that we'll get, but I think it's worth doing. I think because it produces something that both protects the health of our employees and the productivity of what we do at the city. I think it's worth doing, and it's worth seeing how this thing works out. And like I said, I was talking to some other large employers, and I think they may institute similar plans, because they see the challenge on their productivity, is how important it is that if they had that opportunity, they would do that in the private sector. I think it's kind of interesting. We had some good philosophical discussions over the weekend. All right, if that's it, I certainly appreciate it. We will not be here next Monday. So we'll see you on the 9th. Thank you very much.